Digital ladies breaking the chain, rising in crypto, we're changing the game. Crypto frontier, we're claiming our space. Not your keys, not your crypto, know your place. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa, Keda, Lady K, and Opti. Dip a toe, come ride this wave. Digital wealth, we're here to pay.
Crypto nights, we're lighting the spark. As we ignite now, we're setting the mark.
Safety first, we're keeping it tight. Blockchain power, we're shining the light. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa, Keda, Lady K, and Opti. Dip a toe, come ride this wave.
Welcome to Digital Ladies Unscripted. How's everyone doing this evening?
Excellent.
Welcome to Digital Ladies Unscripted, where we discuss crypto and digital assets with straightforward, unfiltered insights. I'm your host, Melissa, and I'm thrilled to be joined by my powerhouse co-hosts, Keda, Kristin, and Amanda. I am so thankful that you guys are here tonight. As we know, tonight we're focusing on the essential tools for entering and exiting the crypto world, the on-ramps and the off-ramps. Think of them as the golden gateways that make digital assets accessible for everyday users like us. On-ramps let you convert fiat into crypto, and the off-ramps allow you to convert your crypto gains into fiat to send back to your bank. Now, why do these matter? In a $1 trillion ecosystem that's still maturing, these ramps are the bridges between traditional finance and the wild west of Web3. They slash barriers for newbies, fuel adoption by making crypto practical, and keep things legitimate with built-in regulations like KYC to prevent fraud and build trust. Tonight, we're going to look at some of the top regulated options in the United States and Canada and touch on self-custody wallets for those who want full control. Without further ado, let's dive in. Keda, you want to take it from here?
Sure. First, we'd like to welcome the audience and take a quick poll. What's your go-to on and off ramps? Let us know in those comments right there so that we can kind of talk about those. Ladies, what are your go-to on and off ramps?
Well, personally, I've been using Uphold for an on ramp. I frequented Coinbase. Those are my two top ones that I use the most. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think I started with Uphold. I do use Coinbase. I was really liking their, they had that subscription fee where you didn't have to pay trading fees. And it was like $20 a month. So it was like super cheap, like one order a month, you saved money. But then they upped that. So I was back to like Uphold.
Yeah.
Yeah. Much like Lady K, I started off with Uphold. That was the only place I could get XRP, especially here in Texas, unless you had a VPN or something else. Uphold was pretty much it. When it comes to off-ramps, a lot of that was kind of drying up. So I did get an account with Caleb and Brown, and that's kind of been where I can see them really being able to fulfill any type of requests that I have.
What are you using in Canada, Opti?
Well, Uphold liquidated me, guys. So I'm not allowed to use Uphold. I've gone through, so many different trials. It used to be I would on-ramp through Lobster. I've told you guys the story where there was a time where MoneyGram had the deal with them, and so I could go to any post office. They took that out about a year and a half ago now. So there's an app called ShakePay that I use. You can e-transfer there and back, but they only convert to Bitcoin or Ethereum, and the minimum amount that you can move Ethereum is $100. And they just added Circle, USDC, is that right? And so I use it through Coinbase. So if I need to off ramp, I send things to Coinbase, and then I convert to Bitcoin or Ethereum or USDC, and then I send it to ShakePay, and then I send it into my wallet.
Ah,
Wow, that's a lot of steps.
Yeah.
Well,
and I have technically not off ramped yet.
yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to be.
But isn't there also a fee at each point in that?
Well, and we're gonna talk about that all throughout this show, because there's different strokes for different folks, different options available out there. And let's before we go further, let's welcome some of the people that are in the chat right now. We have 29 people watching. Who do we got in here, guys?
Oh, we've got a few people. We've got Uga Tiger. He's under the D Crypto Tiger. We have Silver Days. Also, Miss Ellis.
Island Ghost Stephanie's in the house.
Stephanie Stone is in the house. Texas Guns is in the house. So we've got quite a few people that are rolling up in the spot.
Very cool.
And then down here, let's see, are there any others? Those are the ones that have left some comments. Now, did we have any responses? I know that Island Ghost Stephanie says she loves her crypto debit card, simple and easy. I'm not sure if anyone else. Also, Edward Franzlowski. Okay. Hi, Edward. Very nice.
What's up, Ed?
Let me know if I said that right. Franzlowski or Franzlowski. Is the
They'll
right
probably have to get you on the after space.
Edward F. What's up? Thanks for coming to Digital Ladies Unscripted. I think a lot of people, especially the newbies that are coming in or thinking about coming into the crypto world, they don't even know. They don't understand on-ramps, off-ramps, that sort of thing. So I thought we would kind of touch on the definition of what it is and the importance of what the role they serve in bridging the traditional finance world with the crypto world, right? Because without it, you can't buy crypto. There's that on-ramp, whether you want to be a banked person or not. Too bad, too sad. You need a bank, unless you're going to find one of those crypto machines that you see in the gas stations where you can convert cash into Bitcoin. There are machines like that around. I have not used one, which I'm surprised that I haven't, as long as I've been in this space. I've seen them all the time, and I'm just like, I'm just not sure about it. But the long and short of it seems as though you put money in the machine, you buy Bitcoin, and you send it to your wallet, whatever wallet it is. You can send it to your wallet. And so that is a way to on-ramp into crypto without using your bank to do so. And I know here in Michigan, there's these machines all over the place. I don't know if you guys have any of them around you.
I've seen a few. I get a little worried about.
That's why I haven't done it.
I'm not saying that they're nefarious or anything.
Right.
I'm just saying they're in places that you like. Seriously, these people know about Bitcoin up in here.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's same. Like I said, it's like our neighborhood gas station. Love them. They're super great. They're super great owners. Love them. But yeah, I don't feel comfortable, so I don't use it. I don't use that, but basically, wanted to describe the definition of what the on-ramp is. Crypto Tiger, we love you. Thank you so much. 589, the magical number. We appreciate you. But basically, a crypto on-ramp is a service, a platform, or a gateway that enables users to convert their traditional fiat currency, such as USD or in Canada, CAD, into cryptocurrencies. And so basically, it's going to involve linking your bank account or your credit or debit card or other payment methods in order to purchase digital assets like Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP. And so along with that comes the KYC nature of it, right? Because whenever you're dealing with your bank, the KYC is the know your customer. And so, they have to know who you are in order for you to do that. And a lot of these on and off ramps, they're all regulated now. So, you have to be KYC'd. There are some still, I think, that you can just use a debit card, but it's like a certain amount, like a low amount. And a lot of your banks won't let you do it, won't let you use it for that. And so, but I wanted to kind of touch on some of the crucial reasons for that. Does anybody want to touch on that?
Well, I just want to point out that, they're really important because how else are you going to get crypto, right? There are some proof of work networks where you can throw up a miner and start earning without having bought it first, but those are few and far between. Even Algorand, if you want to validate, you have to actually pay a 2 algo fee to start. So you need to have had the crypto to begin with to even then earn it validating, right? Another way is to pay someone, and have them send it to you. But other than that, really, it's the only way to get into crypto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the whole paying someone, or Amanda can probably touch on this too, about lessons of opening wallets, opening wallets for people, right?
Oh yeah.
Opening wallets for people and having or funding wallets for folks. You might not want to do that, right? You want to tell people why you don't want to do that, Amanda?
Yeah, because on the blockchain, you become the parent. And so you can actually see what wallets are parents to other wallets. Now, I know that there's protocols that have shifted because I started on Stellar. A lot of this information comes from that. But I know that at one point they were they changed a protocol where I think that it would be allow banks to do it, right? So the bank actually puts up that initial amount that you need to have a wallet. So they were having this is how I really learned about it, because they were talking about the parent wallet and then all the children wallets. But on the XRPL, if you go to any wallet in the back on the ledger, it will tell you all the wallets that wallet made. And so for me personally, that was actually one of the things I was trying to do with the Wandering Footprint, right? Is you bought your membership and then I would help you get your wallet on the ledger. And I have stopped doing that specifically for this reason, because I don't want to be a parent to somebody. I don't know who you are. I don't know, and I don't know how that will eventually play a role in the future with, should somebody that you help create a wallet and fund do something nefarious, and it's actually, there's a story that I know in the ledger over the past year where somebody had asked, they were low on funds. They asked somebody to help them out. The person sent them funds. Well, they sent funds to a brand new wallet. And so they funded it. So they became a parent. And then this person was a nefarious person. And so, yeah, I would highly suggest that you do not open people's wallets, and even if you definitely don't know somebody, check on the ledger to see if it's funded yet, because obviously you can be given an address. You can think that that's a working wallet, and you can actually be the first person to put in funds to it, and therefore you become the parent wallet.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to understand this so that when you are checking the ledger and you see a parent wallet, you understand that doesn't mean that person, owns that wallet. It's just that's just the wallet that created it, right? And all the wallets go back to the Genesis wallet. So they all had to be created down the line.
And so for those of you that are watching, so many folks want people to do things for them, right? And I understand it. You're busy, you want to get into crypto, and you're like, I'm going to have my nephew do this and send it to me. And I'm not saying anything against your nephew. Your nephew's probably a really good kid. But what if he's doing something that you don't know that he's doing, right? Or you find a nice person that befriended you, and they're going to help you, buy tokens that you don't know how to get, and all this kind of thing. You're going to be tied to that person, so because the blockchain is so transparent, and so whether you're somebody buying it for someone else or you're having someone else buy it for you, generally it's just not a good idea unless it's your family where you're gifting, for your children or something. You're starting some legacy wallets and things like that for your grandkids and that sort of thing. But you still want to be careful even with that, right? And so education is key, talking about these things, learning about them yourselves, and, dipping your toe a little bit, getting a wallet, getting set up with something that you're comfortable with, like a Coinbase or some of these larger platforms they've kind of been around for a while, right? They're not this abstract company that's popped up out of nowhere. Coinbase has been around for a really long time. Uphold's been around for a long time. And there's some others that we're going to talk about. And, getting it hooked up with your bank and doing the KYC and buying it yourself is the best way, I think, to go about things when it comes to this. What are some other benefits or like the important aspect of the on and off ramps? Like they provide the liquidity, right, to be able to come in. Without them, no money, honey. You're not buying crypto.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there in any transaction, there has to be a buyer and a seller, right? So you got to have somebody that's going to be adding that liquidity in for you to be able to get it, or vice versa. You're selling it, so you're now giving what they want. So, I mean, there always has to be that, but at the same time, you just don't want to get caught up in the process.
Well, they're kind of like the floodgate of coming into crypto. All of these institutions, we've covered on Dip a Toe show, back in the day, talking about like Choke Point 2.0, where they were actually trying to prevent some of these institutions of providing these services right early on. Why do you think they were trying to stop them in the early days when it comes to the on ramps, particularly the off ramps, but even the on ramps were kind of being choked off? Why do you think that is?
I mean, you cut someone off from being able to buy or sell, and you just kill crypto.
Yeah.
I mean, how does it survive when somebody cannot on ramp and get money and then, go to a decentralized wallet? But if you look, like a lot of the XRPL wallets now, like Xammon and Joey, they have on and off ramps right within the self-custodial wallet. So that's, I think, important, because if you can on ramp to those wallets and then you can transact within the decentralized exchange, and then you can actually save the fees that the centralized exchanges charge. So, there's pros and cons to those centralized exchanges.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think number one, just like you said, Lady K, slowing down the motion. The snowball's rolling down the hill, and they're like, no, we gotta slow this down. Because, taking money out of the traditional banking world, traditional finance, and putting it into this new DeFi space, you're taking money from somewhere and putting it somewhere else. And so depending on how many people do it all at once, it could really cause damage to wherever you're taking the money from, right? So that has to be really controlled.
And the other thing too is, the whole objective of the banking industry are the fees, that are associated with the transactions that are happening. So if we're taking away those fees, how are they then making money? And so, of course, they have to slow this down or put fear out there so that people won't want to get into it, because they don't want you becoming your own bank. They don't want that.
Yeah.
Can I add to that? Because it's sort of like where I sort of wanted, I was hoping the conversation would sort of go there here, because I just find it so fascinating because, you know, I've brought it up a whole bunch of times with you guys, like with the truthers, right? And the truthers are just like so sure that crypto is the worst thing ever for our sovereignty. But when these conversations are brought up, it's clear it's a clear disruptor too. You know, while there are aspects that can lead to that, just the fact that it was so hard. You know, I heard a story of a lady who bought Bitcoin way back, and she went to the 7-Eleven and she got like a little chit and it had like a code on it. And then she went down to like this random place and then she gave the chit to the person and then they gave her this other receipt. I was like, what? Like black market, what? And, you know,
That's how they had to do it.
Well, and that's what's so for me, I would have bought Bitcoin I learned about Bitcoin way back, you know, and I really wanted to buy it. As soon as I learned about it, I was like, oh yeah, give me that. That sounds like, you know, .com bubble. I want the .com bubble again, please. Thank you, as a conscious, you know, adult. And the person who told me basically wouldn't tell me how they got it. And so for years, I was really struggling with like where to get it and how to on-ramp, especially with Canadian dollars. Because if you notice, a lot of these platforms, they don't have CAD. You know, they won't even show you how to, you know, you have to convert to USD first. And then with all the regulations here. So I just find it super fascinating that there is this like double psyop going on around crypto where, you know, there's this like cash is king, except it's a Ponzi scheme. But it's nice to have it in your hand so that's untrackable. And then you have this extra layer of like making it more and more difficult. And having been in this sphere for so long now, so crazy to say so long, you know, it feels like yesterday that I got involved. Having been here so long and seeing how many things I've used that I can't use anymore, you know, and how it's sort of been rotating through. And I always wonder if like the Basel compliances that they've played a role in what's, you know, okay, but all the backdoor deals, you know, like MoneyGram and things like that. It's very fascinating to watch, just sort of like the psyop happening to make people afraid and to limit.
Yeah.
Man, I will say this. Those that gave it their attention and due diligence and trying to figure out, like you said, you know, the only places that you could buy XRP, it was very challenging for everybody to buy XRP or XLM or XDC. You know, Bitcoin was easy compared to some of those, right? Except for in the very early days of Bitcoin, like you say, you know, they were doing the physical meetups and doing all that stuff. And so it's quite incredible how far it has come since the inception of the idea and people really kind of taking off. And I will say, you know, if anything gives me, you know, inspiration and hope, it's those early Bitcoiners that said, we're going to do this, man. We're going to put this lore out there and we're going to talk about it and we're going to get people to start adopting it little by little by little. And they did. And they had people that had open eyes to go, oh, what is that? I want some of that. I'm going to go meet up with some of these people and do this sketchy thing, you know, and spend $20 on Bitcoin or whatever. And then by the time I roll in, you know, all of that's already been laid out. But I'm start looking at assets like XRP, and it's like, well, you can only buy it here, and you can only buy it there, and you know, it's very hard. And so if I would have just given up, I would have never been able to buy it at, you know, the lower prices. Now, as we're farther down the road, like you said, Ati, they've evolved so much that things that we were using back in the day, a lot of them, they've either been assumed by other companies or they've just clearly just like went away, or people just stopped using them altogether because something better was built, you know, and that sort of thing. And so Yeah, it's been an interesting experience so far with this space, to say the least.
I had someone once ask me, like, she was like, I'd buy crypto, but like, how do you even know what you're buying? Like, it's invisible, right?
Yeah.
So, and it was a fair point. I
Yeah,
think
yes.
that we have all had when we got into crypto. And so, I want to remind people that CoinMarketCap does show the exchanges that cryptocurrencies are on. So, you need to, like, if you look up XRP and and you find that, and you can look at the exchanges it's on, especially if it's a reputable license exchange and you go on there and buy it. When you set up your wallet and transfer it, you can see that transfer on the ledger, and then you could see on the Explorer on the ledger itself that you hold it. So that's how you can verify you got the real thing, and how you can check where to get the real thing.
Yeah. And it is really cool though that even though some of us are, we've been frustrated because we've been here for such a long time, they didn't prevent us from getting these assets.
They sure didn't.
Okay, they didn't. And now, as they've had time for us to beta test it all and figure this out, which, early adopters of anything is very risky, right? And so, there are some of us that dipped our toes in early, and, we kind of watched all this stuff take place. Now we've got the rules and regulations coming into play, and these platforms really getting it nailed down to where they're compliant, and they can control how people enter the space, right? And whether people like it or not, that is very important, because, like I said, they bridge the traditional with this new DeFi, and that is what's going to drive the mainstream adoption. These larger platforms are going to bring it in. They're partnering up with the banks, or they're playing with the banks. So banks are playing with them, I should say, to allow us to, buy crypto through Coinbase or Kraken or whatever. And so I think it is very important. They also have the regulatory compliance aspect of it. And for newbies coming into the space, most people do want something that they know is regulated, or that they are adhering to a set of rules and regulations, and it's not the Wild West. And that just ensures that your on-ramp is going to be traceable where the money came from to you. But it's also going to reduce some of those risks, like the fraud, where people are just stealing money, or they're laundering money and that sort of thing. So I think it's important. What do you guys think about that?
I do think it's important. I think that we don't need it to be the wild, wild west. I think that there definitely needs to be the ability for someone to be private if they want to be. However, it doesn't change the bad deeds that people do. You know what I mean? Like, people who aren't doing bad deeds should be able to, be anonymous if they want to be. You know what I mean? Especially I know that Lady K could probably speak to this with zero proofs, right? There should be a way to be able to evaluate whether or not a person is telling the truth without exposing them. So if that's the case, then, people that are doing the right thing shouldn't have to feel like they should be under the same type of scrutiny that somebody else might be.
I'm also cheering for on-ramps directly onto the blockchain, sidestepping these centralized exchanges, because, to be honest with you, to me, the centralized exchanges are no different than the banks right now. And I'm cheering for decentralization. So, I mean, I get that right now we don't have that setup or structure, but I'm hoping that we figure it out.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out. So just like you said, with Zaman or Joey Wallet, you can use like, what is it, Topper,
Mhm.
that you can use. But even
There's
still,
others
what
though.
is
Well,
there?
they have more than that. It's Moon Pay as well as Topper, and I think there might be another
Yeah, like BankoX or something
Banksa. Is
like
it Banksa?
Banksa. Yes, Banksa.
Banksa. Oh,
Which
yeah. So
with
there's
it,
a couple of there's a couple of different things that you can use. So you don't necessarily. I mean, I think it depends on you and your preference. You know what I mean? Topper is associated with Uphold because it's made by Uphold, right? MoonPay is a different network in itself, and Banksa is itself.
that was the first one on Salmon and it wasn't open to US customers. So I was
Mm,
super bummed about that. You know what I mean?
But
yeah.
even still, guys, those you still have to do the KYC. You still
Yeah.
have to you still have to do it. And so like, and this is where, I mean, all of these ones you're going to do the KYC. What it is extremely convenient once you have your bank or your bank card connected to the platform of choice, whether it's directly in your wallet. Like, okay, so let's start talking, since it's 9:30. Let's start talking about the different platforms that are available in United States and Canada. And so if we can touch on the ones that are in the United States first, and then we can move on to the Canadian ones.
And this is your off ramps, or this is
Off ramps and on ramps are kind of the same thing to me,
yeah.
really. You know what I mean? It's just you're saying it's an on ramp to come in, meaning you're taking your fiat money into a platform that's going to allow you to convert it to crypto, and then your off ramp is just converting it back to fiat and sending it to your bank as U.S. or Canadian dollars or whatever your
Right.
currency is. So
But
it's,
I've also seen that there's been some places that will allow you to on ramp, but won't allow you to off ramp.
and that's why we're talking. That's why we're talking about it,
Yes.
because there are different rules for different ones that you do, and there's also some that you can only buy Bitcoin, like I think Cash App. Cash App is really convenient. There's a
Yeah.
lot of users that use Cash App. You can buy Bitcoin with Cash App.
Yes.
You can't buy XRP
True.
with Cash App, and so and like also PayPal is another one. You can buy crypto with PayPal, but your choices are, I believe, Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I'm not sure if there's any other ones in there. But I don't believe you can buy XRP with your PayPal.
No. But
Now,
I think there's a lot
what's
of
it
places you
what's
can't.
interesting to me is Cash App and PayPal, for just average public that don't do anything with crypto.
Mhm.
They use PayPal and Cash App a lot,
Mhm.
a lot. And so the the on ramp to those, that what's available is pretty interesting, because if you're already going to use something that you're familiar with, like Cash App or PayPal, and you want to get into crypto, what are you going to buy? What's easiest, right?
Yes.
Jeffrey Dahmer's Ford Ranger. What? Thank
Oh,
you.
they could always, if you already have a PayPal or Cash App and you see an option to buy Bitcoin, I mean, you always could send it then to an exchange and then flip it for what you want as well.
Which is what I
Or
had to do
send it to a
early.
wallet and then use like Thorchain or Simple Swap or whatever to then flip it to what you want.
Yep. So most people, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I remember that. His comment, I remember when Canada limited them to 30,000 a year a few years back.
And don't they do the same? But they do the same here, don't they? I think after a certain amount, I think they kind of flag you, I guess.
They don't stop. I don't know of any law that says like US can only buy up to 30,000 of crypto a year.
No. I'm not saying that they do that, but don't they kind of limit you at some point? They kind of flag you.
I mean,
How
they
much?
might do that, right? But like Canada Straight was like, other than Bitcoin and ETH, you can only buy 30,000 a year of all the other ones.
And it's like
Interesting.
60% in capital gains or something insane like that. I don't even want to go there because it just makes me all very angry. But what you were saying about conversion, I mean, that's basically how I've tried to navigate this whole thing for years, you know. And when I brought up lobster, you know, so Stellar is really interesting. And I was actually quite surprised that this hasn't been really implemented on the XRPL yet. But I anticipate it will soon because of how they sort of like, in my opinion, been beta testing over on Stellar. And that is separate custodial people, I guess companies, have created on-ramp, off-ramp BTC, Ethereum, XRP. So that's actually how I was getting XRP for a while and trying to save on the fees from the major exchanges, is because through Stellar, you can convert on like fractions of a penny, very similar to the XRPL. And so there were companies that had, you know, they had the liquidity and they had figured out how to, you know, move it so you could send it to a wallet on the ledger. And so it would like convert there. But the last time I tried to take Bitcoin, so what I would do is I would move my XRP to Lobster, convert to Stellar, or, you know, Lumens, then convert to BTC on the off ramp of that. Then I would move that over to ShakePay, and then I would transfer that into Canadian dollars, and then that's what I would put in my wallet.
All the fees in
Oh my
between.
gosh.
And
that's so much.
but what's crazy is the Bitcoin went down, and it was like you can no longer off ramp. And so exactly what you're saying, and this is very recent. This is when I was in Las Vegas. That's why I was so screwed, because I couldn't access any of my money. And then also ShakePay, when I was in, that was another thing I didn't even mention. When I was in, do you remember this? When I was in Vegas, I had money given to me to, sort of support me in Vegas, and it was in crypto. And I went to use my ShakePay to send it to my bank account. Like, it was in my ShakePay wallet, and it said, you cannot use this app outside of the country.
Oh my gosh.
So I had no access to anything. Yeah. Crazy.
Wow.
See, this is why we need decentralization. This is why
Yeah.
we need to say no to things like, rant over it. Let's go over the.
Yeah,
But doesn't that make it an even playing field, though? If you were able to access your funds in other countries, even though you're not in that, like, that just doesn't.
Well, with
make
Coinbase, you can. So if you had your money in Coinbase, you would have, because Coinbase is one that you can use in both Canada and the United States. And so, that is a lesson learned for everybody else that's listening in. When you're researching these on and off ramps, know those types of things, that if you can't use it outside, because you're right. Some of them you can't use, like Opti. You were using Uphold, and then Uphold stopped servicing Canadians. And same with Caleb and Brown. They stopped servicing Canadians. And so everybody that lives in Canada, they cannot
Binance gone.
Right, exactly. And so the winner right now, winner chicken dinner for United States and Canada, happens to be Coinbase. So we have like 20 minutes left, and I thought we would just go through some of these in order. I mean, when we mentioning Coinbase, for those of you who don't know, they do support ACH. They support wire transfers, cards. They have an app that you can put on your phone. You can buy and sell Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. A lot of other tokens are available there. And their fees are fairly low. For ACH, it's a 1.5%. And they have like a million plus users.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are some other ones?
Well, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
No, I was just going to say there's definitely, I mean, and some of these things are not available in different places, like Mexi and, places like BitTrue and, things of those natures, like I don't even have access to be honest with you, unless they're somewhat regulated, like a Coinbase or crypto.com or Robinhood. I'm pretty much limited, or Uphold. I'm pretty much limited. Like all those other ones, I just don't have access to.
Well, here are the ones that are regulated and usable that we can use in the United States. Like I said, there's Coinbase, there's Kraken. Kraken is another popular one. They allow bank transfers, cards. They do have advanced trading with staking fees and stuff for people that do that. They have 10 million plus users. They're regulated by FinCEN. They have state licensing. They have strong security, and they're available in 48 states.
And Canada. They've been pushing their advertisement here, and I have had people who have completely ignored me in crypto for years be like, what's this Kraken thing? I was like, oh my goodness.
Release the Kraken. I always remember that.
It was either KuCoin or Kraken that was involved, that was named in the Ripple lawsuit in California. And the judge had asked for a list of everyone that bought XRP, and they fought that, and then they ended up winning, protecting their customers' data.
Yes.
I can't remember if it was Kraken or KuCoin. It was one of the Ks.
I think it's Kraken. I will say this. I think it's a Jesse Powell for Kraken. So it's just very interesting. All of these platforms, they were all friends, or they, you know what I mean? Like back in the day, in the early days, you will have the folks that I don't remember what the Coinbase guy's name is off the top of my head. But him, Jesse Powell, the guys from Ripple, the Elon Musks of the world, all of these guys, they all know each other. They all knew each other. And it's pretty cool. The ones that are, because they did do it. They did do it right. They have been trying to do it right. And, in not that you can't beat them, join them scenario, but we're building the future financial system, and we want our people protected. We want you to be safe, but we want you to be decentralized. And that's what I seem to get from those guys, particularly the Kraken, the Jesse Powell person. Then we also, oh, sorry, Lady K.
Oh, we have Gemini. Their key features are ACH, SEPA, wires. They focus on USD pairs. Their fees are 0.5% or less. Their user base is approximately 13 million people. They have an NYDFS bit license. They're SOC2 compliant. They were founded by the Winklevoss twins. And their emphasis is on institutional grade security.
I will say this, Gemini, my friend works for a family office, and they were one of the first family offices in Texas to dabble in crypto, Keda. And they chose Gemini for the platform that they used for that.
Nice.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting that they did. And it's just interesting, the Winklevoss twins, they've been invited to the White House, and, you see all this fighting and all these things happening. And it's, again, it's who are the people that are sitting at the table? Who are the people that are in the rooms? Those are the ones that are probably going to come out the winners, in my opinion. Just my opinion anyway. Anyone want to take the next one? Because you guys have already mentioned it being popular with Zaman, and that's the MoonPay.
Yeah, MoonPay. Here's the thing about MoonPay. I think I've had more success with Topper than I have with MoonPay. I'm not going to say that one is better than the other. They're both platforms that you're able to purchase digital assets and cryptocurrencies through, but I've had more success with Topper than I have. I'm not sure if it's just the relationship that I have with Uphold, or if it's just, maybe that's what it is. But MoonPay sometimes is hit or miss with me. But the topper, I normally never have an issue with. It does connect directly to my Google. It will. I don't keep any passwords or anything like that for, my digital assets and cryptocurrencies on my Google account. So,
With MoonPay, that was the only one that you could do on Lobster. I'm pretty sure HBAR, they might be doing it with HBAR down too. Anyways, they would always flag in people's bank accounts, like when I was trying to get people teaching people how to put crypto into on the Stellar Ledger. MoonPay would be flagged in their banks, and even my American friends. And so they'd have to call their bank, and they'd have to say, and there's also a KYC. Also, their fees are pretty high, to be honest with you. But like you were saying before, like when you don't have a lot of places to go, you sort of, that's what I was, for the first 2 years I did this, every time I moved crypto, I would take a screenshot, just to try to go back in the end and see where all the fees were, right? Because with them, their base fee is $6. Now, the more you put on, the less the increment, it's not a percentage, but if you're somebody like me who only wants to put in, $20 to $50 at a time. And so your, base fee is so much higher. Than if you were to put in, I don't even know, $500 or $1,000, the increment, it gets a lot smaller, sort of the more you go up. But yeah, I mean, MoonPay was the only one that I was using for years also.
Well, their fees are 4.5%. That is high, right?
That's very high.
Their key features are card bank ramps integrated with wallets and exchanges. Their user base is 20 million. And regulation, they are FinCEN, EU, MiCA compliant, and non-custodial on-ramp partners like Phantom Wallet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they also are KYC. I remember that was the moment where I had to take a deep breath and do my picture of my face. And I had to really have a come to Jesus moment of okay, you're not going to use this against me, right?
Yeah. I've never heard of this ramp network. I don't know if you guys have. Mm-hmm. I've never heard of it, but when I was doing my research, they have instant card, bank buys, API for devs, fees of 1.5% to 2.9%. They have 5 million plus users. They're regulated through FinCEN. They're ISO 2001 27001 compliant. I guess they have fast fiat to crypto for DeFi. They support 150 plus countries, including the United States. So maybe that's why they're really probably popular in other countries, and that's maybe why I haven't heard of it. And then of course we've already talked about PayPal and Cash App, and then one of my favorite ones, and I mean, it's not for everybody, but I personally like Uphold. I feel like Uphold has been doing, they've been building correctly, to my knowledge, the way that they've gone about things. They have multi-assets trading there, crypto, stocks, metals. You can deposit with your card, or you can do bank transfers. They do have fees up to 1.95%, but they have 10 million users. They're regulated by FinCEN, MSB. They are AML and KYC compliant. AML stands for anti-money laundering. But I guess we're not able to stake in the United States. But it does support 250 plus assets. So
I had stuff on there that was staked, and when they stopped, it went right back, and they're like, can't stake it anymore.
But they didn't, you just had to unstake it. You got your stuff back, or they didn't take your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it happened a long time ago, actually. Yeah. And it's, a pretty good thing, because there was some things where I really could delegate on my own, and it forced me to seek out how to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've got about 10 minutes left. Another one who I happen to have an affiliate link for. We did a show with Caleb and Brown. Jim Bazzini came on the Dip a Toe show, and I have to tell you guys, I asked them so many questions on that show, and he just did a fantastic job. Caleb and Brown is an over-the-counter out of Australia, but they actually are now here in the United States in Florida, and they're going to open a couple other, what do I want to say, areas, but besides
Branches.
Florida. Yes, branches. They're going to open a couple other branches around. But the cool thing about Caleb and Brown is that they're your personalized crypto brokerage. They have 24-hour, 7-day-a-week broker support. They have hundreds of different digital assets that they actually do due diligence. They don't offer any assets that they find sketchy. Let's say they're doing the back work for you, and you can even ask them which ones you want them to do. So their user base is pretty small, 50,000. Originally, they came out and they were for like the higher net worth people. However, they are trying to help the little guy, and there is no minimum balance for you to open up your account. You do have to spend like $500 if you want to trade. You know, they don't want people going in there like if you're on Coinbase just trading, you know, $20 worth of tokens back and forth. They really want like, you know, $500 minimum if you're going to trade, say $500 worth of XRP for $500 worth of HBAR or something like this, right? And that is the only time they take a fee there, and it's a straight fee. And of course, I can't remember what the fee is, but it's a standard fee. But you can load. Oh, we lost Keda. Oh, there she is. You can load your crypto or your fiat there, and you can take it back off, and it doesn't cost you anything. They don't charge you any fees for that.
I believe it's 3% if you liquidate.
I think you're right. 3%, not if you take it off, but if you trade it, or like if you sell it, right? But if you just wanted to move it right back off into your private wallet, there's no fee for that at all. With a Caleb and Brown, but yeah, so those are some places for people to look into. Opties, we're into Canada stuff now. Have you heard of this BitBuy?
I've heard of it. I'm not very familiar with it. I don't know if there's somebody in the audience that knows like an equivalent to Caleb and Brown, because they're not supporting Canada anymore. And that's, you know, for me, I always think of that, like, you know, if I were ever to do a presentation at like the church or, you know, with my family who has savings, you know, the things we've talked about, like, I think it's super important for self-custody. But like we were talking about, like there's so many ways for it to go wrong, that, you know, I do think that there's a place for, you know, Caleb and Brown. It's like having a broker, you know, where somebody is in charge of the funds, and like they sort of ensure that it's there still, and you're not going to send it to the wrong wallet or whatever. So I don't know if there's somebody in the comments that has that, but yeah, no, I'm not, I've heard of it, but I'm not familiar with it at all.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. And it sucks because, you know, at the end of the day, they do have white glove service, and they do offer, you know, that service to be able to say, okay, you've got an actual broker for yourself, you know what I mean? For your business or for your account. So I haven't heard of anything. Is it Kraken that has something that's similar?
I don't think so. I know that they are looking, I mean, they will eventually service Canada again. You know, I do believe that they will. It's just it's a matter of time before they open it back up to Canada. But yeah, I don't know of any other service that does for Canada.
There was another comment that you popped up earlier, and they were talking about other exchanges that you could use in Canada, but like I said, the ones I've told you that are the only ones that I'm familiar with that I've even tried. I I was going through phases where I was trying everything. Like, like 6 years ago, I was just sort of curious about the fees and what was working and what was not. And I would just keep trying them. But, you get burnt out in this whole sphere, guys,
You find something that you're comfortable with too, though, right?
Whatever. What's working. Yeah. And if it breaks down, then you're sort of forced into another, like, that's why I ended up on Coinbase. I was like, all my other ways that I had used, were eliminated. And I mean, I can't even tell you how many exchanges over the years that, have been like, sorry, we are no longer allowed to give you your money. You better get it off the exchange and send it somewhere before we close down. I have apps that like, you could not use this in your country. Like, it's so crazy.
BitTrue. I mean, BitTrue was huge. BitTrue used to list the tokens on the XRPL. You know what I mean? And then one day it was, if you're a US customer, get it off our exchange. I still have stuff locked up in BitTrue because it costs too much to move it.
Yeah. Well, they were the ones that were like, you don't have enough to move. That was where I kind of experimented with some of the things. And I was like, what do you mean I don't have enough to move it off here? Like, I did not like it at all. So
or they have it tied to a coin that you actually don't have access to.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to look at your pairs, people.
Yeah.
You got to look at your pairs. Well, we've got a couple minutes left. I did want to just for those that are, first of all, if you guys could come to the after space, I posted the link in the comment. It starts at 10:10 and it's on X Spaces. And we can continue this conversation. I just wanted to kind of quickly throw some self-custody wallets out there, because if you are interested in onboarding, on ramping on with any of these platforms, you might not want to just hold it on that platform. And so there are some self-custody wallets for beginners that are fairly easy to use. You guys want to touch on a couple of those in the next minute here?
Like
Which
Joey
one?
Wallet? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, like Joey Wallet for XRP. There's Exodus.
And Hashpack for Hedera Hashgraph. Right?
Para for Algo. Xammon and Joey, I think, are the biggest, right? There is Trust
XRP.
Wallet. There's Gem. There's Bifrost, which a lot of people, forget and sleep on. And they're integrating a lot of things now. And those are all the hot wallets.
And of course, Mad Labs. If you want to, I love Mad Labs. I'm starting to sort of train myself a little bit more and pull out my computer to do that. But yeah, and then Thor. Doesn't Thor Chain have
a wallet, a Thor wallet?
Yes, they do. They do. They have the Thor Chain wallet, but they also have the Mocha wallet that allows for people to utilize Thor Chain as well as to be able to utilize it for their business. Whether that's
I can't wait till Mocha has all this stuff. Like, honestly, I was just so excited for that.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. Me too.
And we didn't mention First Ledger. That's how a lot of people got on last year at this time.
I mean, these are all XRP. A lot of these ones that we just mentioned are XRP, but there are, I'm not a super fan of MetaMask wallet, but lots of people use MetaMask wallets, and there's different tokens available. Like I said, the Exodus wallet, there's Ledger Nano is a hardware wallet. And what was the other one? Trust Wallet is another one. That's a mobile app from Binance. That's multi-chain.
How come I didn't know that was with Binance? I didn't
know it either. I didn't realize it was a Binance either until I did my research. And I was like, really? I didn't realize it. Somebody said, Crypto Tiger says Gem is king. And Brian Wynn says Tangem is good for newbies. Tangem is works well with the XRP
Xammon
token and Xammon. Yeah.
Yeah, Zaman has actual Tangem cards that make that hot wallet a cold wallet. So
Also, MetaMask integrated support for XRP.
There you go. There you go.
It's 6:59.
It's ladies. We gotta go. You guys, please join us in the after discussion. Thank you for visiting Digital Ladies Unscripted, and we'll see you next week on Monday. Have a good rest of the evening.
Digital ladies breaking the chain, rising in crypto, we're changing the game. Crypto frontier, we're claiming our space. Not your keys, not your crypto, know your place. Unscripted, we're bold, we're free. Melissa, Keda, Lady K, and Auntie Tiptoe, come ride this wave. Digital wealth, we're here to pay.
Crypto nights, we're lighting the spark. As we ignite now, we're setting the mark.
Safety first, we're keeping